Walking means to live in a particular way day in and day out. And my goal throughout my life is to walk in power, is to always be walking in power, to always be living out of that spiritual dimension, if you will, that subconscious dimension where all the real reactions and beliefs and convictions come from, where the real fire and passion comes from. It all comes from that deeper part of you. And that part of you is always there. That part of you has been there since birth, and that part of you has been shaped from birth, right? I mean, we are all ultimately the product of so many things that get spoken into our lives, so many things that we are influenced by, so many ways of thinking and believing that we've accumulated over time. There are basic philosophies of life, for example, that you accumulate through the place that you are raised. So, for example, in other countries, in the East, for example, there are different outlooks of time. Time for certain countries or beliefs is circular, not linear. Now, for us who live in the West, we tend to see things in a linear fashion. There's beginning and there's an end, and there's a line and there's a timeline and there's a path, right? Moving from this point to that point. Whereas in some other beliefs, they have time as circular. And so that's oftentimes when you won't see a lot of progress in some of those groups because of their concept of time. Or maybe you grow up in a country where things are pretty scarce and it's tough and you learn scarcity. And because of that, it's very difficult for you to see abundance. Maybe you just lived in any, city in America and grew up struggling. Your family was always struggling financially. And so you struggle with a poverty consciousness. And somebody else can grow up in the very same country and end up with a prosperity consciousness. They never garnered the idea that there was scarcity, So, for example, if you begin with the idea of poverty, scarcity, lack, then when you see certain news headlines, you use those to reinforce that belief. And so for you, if you do get success, even though you may desire it, you might feel like, well, if I do get that success, somehow I am taking it from somebody else. That somehow by me gaining something, someone else is losing something. And that's a tragic way to think. People think that way politically, for example. But these are narratives that we tell ourselves. Now, again, I'm not trying to make a political point. I'm talking about how we begin with certain starting points in our inner dimension, our outlooks on life that are provided to us by our circumstances, and they become obstacles to ourselves. And so again, you can actually war against yourself by saying, no, if I achieve success, it must be at someone else's expense. And that's not true. There is more than enough abundance in this world. True also that there are those who are in unfortunate circumstances, especially in war-torn, impoverished regions of the world. Horrible circumstances. And yeah, those people, there's no sense in sending necessarily a motivational speaker into certain countries of the world because it wouldn't make any sense. These people are struggling for daily life, survival. Maybe better to send something more missionary oriented, right? Because these people need basic needs. They need medicine, they need food, they need water. But that doesn't mean the country can't eventually turn around. Hopefully you get some good leaders. Hopefully you get some support from other countries. The country could at some point turn around. That's what I always thought was funny about that single island in which it's divided in half. And on one half is the nation of the Dominican Republic. We get how many baseball players play in the professional baseball league that are from the Dominican Republic? Tons of them. How many people vacation regularly in the Dominican Republic? Tons of them, right? Hotels, resorts, casinos, all that stuff down there. It's a tiny island. Well, you know what's on the other side of the Dominican Republic? Haiti. I mean, can you think of any country that's had more problems and more struggle and more poverty and bad things happen than Haiti? And yet they're on the exact same island. How does that happen? How does that happen? How does it that the earthquake hits and Haiti is absolutely devastated and nothing happens to the other side of the island? How does that happen? So again, you can see how something can turn around. Could Haiti become like the Dominican Republic? Sure it could. Sure it could. With some incredible things need to change? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean it's impossible, right? So what about your own life? What about your own beliefs? What do you got going on in you? Dominican Republic or Haiti? What's the wiring that's going on in that inner dimension of you? That's the part we really want to affect so that you can begin to walk in power. You can begin to walk in belief. You can begin to walk in prosperity. You can begin to walk with this concept that with an expectation of opportunity, that is, you're faithful to cultivate your gifts, talents, and abilities and interests and meet new people and network, that things are going to open up for you. Doors of opportunity are going to open up for you. You're going to step into new dimensions in life, man, and prosper and grow like you always should have. That's the intention. That's the plan, man. That's what we want for you. Can you dig it? I hope you can. This is CJ, the Metal Motivator. And remember, in whatever you do, don't suck. Metal up.